Hi, this is Miss Camp. In this video, we are going to look at how to write a simple paragraph if someone asks you to write about one of your favorite things to do. One of my favorite things to do, you can see on my mug, is to go to Acadia National Park in Bar Harbor, Maine. That's one of my favorite parks in the whole world. Well, let's say that one of your favorite things to do is play chess. So let's take that as an example for our paragraph. Let me share my iPad screen with you. You can see my screen here is completely white because we haven't started. The hardest part about writing, but also the most fun part, is the thinking that we need to do before we start writing. We have to look at this blank page and say to ourselves, what do I write first? What is my plan? We need to have a plan. So we need to do some thinking. So before we start writing the paragraph, we are going to work on thinking about what do we want to write, and we are going to make a plan. When we make a plan, we need to get all of our thoughts organized. That's not a very good, oh, is it? Do you know what it means to organize? When you want to organize something, you would put all of the things that go together in one place. Organizing is when we put similar things together. So in these circles, I could put all of the green things here, and all of the orange things here, and all of the red things here, and all of the yellow things here. Some people have a crayon box and they want to put all of the reds together, and all of the blues together, and all of the yellows together, and all of the greens together. Then their crayon box is very organized. When you go into a library, you might know that all of the children's books are in this area, and all of the books for science are in this area, and all of the books about mysteries are in this area, and all of the books about sports are in this area. And then it helps you know where to go. If I want to tell you about a summer vacation, I might first tell you all about a road trip we made to a national park, like Acadia National Park. And then I might tell you all about a week we spent camping by a lake. And then I might tell you all about a visit to our grandparents' house. But I wouldn't jump from this one to this one to this one to this one. I would say all of these things together, and all of these things together, and all of these things together. That is getting organized. So we can organize our things. We can also organize our thoughts. We can organize what we talk about. And we can organize a room, like a library, or the kitchen, or our bedroom. So organizing is something we can do. When we are writing, we want to be organized. It helps the reader understand what we are saying. So before we do our writing, we are going to fill something out called a graphic organizer that will help us organize our thoughts and help us to make a plan for what we want to write. That is called a graphic organizer. There are two main types of graphic organizers that I use, and it depends on if I am writing a story or if I am writing about my opinion or about facts or a report, kind of fiction or nonfiction. There are two graphic organizers that I like to use for my writing. One is called the story map. And the other one is called the Foursquare. How do I know which one to choose? Well, if I'm writing a story, like a fiction story, something that has characters and a setting, maybe a problem and a solution, there are things that are happening from beginning to middle to end of the story, then I use the story map. Now, the story can be fiction, it can be pretend and not really happen, but it can also be nonfiction. It could be a story about a day in my life, or a trip that I went on, or something that happened to me. But this is still a story. It will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It will have characters, people doing things. The other type is nonfiction. I use the Foursquare for writing not a story, but something that might be an opinion or a report, maybe a science report. I could also use it for other things, like if I want to analyze characters in a story. Now, the story might be fiction, but the kind of writing I am doing is to write down my thoughts about the characters in that story. So these are the two different types of graphic organizers that I use. Let's take a quick look at the story map, but then we're going to come back here and use the Foursquare. So if you saw the Magic Treehouse videos that I did with Archie, you would see that we used a story map at the end. We had read Midnight on the Moon together. In the story map, we have at the beginning our characters and our setting. We think about what was the problem in the story. We, at the end, think about what was the solution. And then in the middle, we think about what are the things that the characters did to solve the problem in the story. So the story map has a beginning, and it has a middle, and it has an end. One story map I can show you that's all filled out is this one on a children's book called The Disgusting Sandwich. So again, this is a graphic organizer that shows what happens, what is the problem at the beginning of the story, what is the solution at the end of the story, and what are the things that happen, the events that happen in the middle of the story that help solve the problem. The author of this story would have needed to create something like the story map before he or she started to write the story, because it gives them a plan. It helps them organize their thinking so they know where they want to go in the story. When we get in our car and start driving someplace, we need to know, where do we want to go? We can't just get in our car, or we shouldn't just get in our car and start driving and have no idea where we are going. Same with when we are writing, we need to have an idea about where do we want to end up, and then think about how do we want to get there. And that thinking is how we get organized. However, we are writing today about a favorite thing to do. So this is not a story. Instead, we are going to use our Foursquare graphic organizer, which looks like this. You can see that there are 4 squares, and yes, there is one here in the middle, but for some reason, the creator of the Foursquare only called it a Foursquare. The Foursquare can be used to write 1 paragraph or to write 5 paragraphs. If we are using it to write 1 paragraph, we would put our main idea here. This would be our first sentence. And then we would put our first detail, our first supporting detail, reason or example here. and our second one here, our third one. And then in the last sentence of the paragraph, we would have our conclusion. Let's go back for a minute and look at our story map. You can see that I like to use color. So here I used, for the beginning, middle, and end, I have green and then purple and then orange. So I will use those same colors on the Foursquare. I'm sneaking into the video right after I finished making it. Did you see the big whoops that I just did? I just finished saying that I am using the same colors in the same order that I did on the story map, with green at the beginning and then purple in the middle and then orange at the end. But what did I just do? I accidentally mixed up my orange and purple. So you're going to see for the rest of this video, green at the beginning and then orange in the middle and then purple at the end. Now, the colors don't really matter. That's okay. I do like to be consistent between how I use them on the story map and how I use them in the Foursquare. It helps my brain to just keep using the same colors in the same order, with green at the beginning and then purple in the middle and then orange at the end. But that's okay. What's funny is that I don't realize it. I go for the whole rest of the video until the very end, and it never occurs to me that I have mixed up my orange and purple. So now you know, but I don't know yet. So here at the beginning is green. This is where we will give the main idea. Then we will have the middle, will be the details, the supporting details, reasons, and examples. That will be the middle. And then the end will be purple. This will be the conclusion. Conclusion is a fancy way of saying the end. I'm going to go ahead and put here in our main idea sentence that playing chess is one of my favorite things to do. I'm writing with my finger. Playing chess is one of my favorite things to do. Now, if I were to ask you what is the verb in this sentence, some of you might think that the verb is playing. It is true that when we see ing at the end of a word, we quickly think, oh, that is something we can do. That is a verb. But in this sentence, this word playing is not the verb. So I want to talk about that for just a minute before we continue with our organizing, with our plan. The ing word, let me put here a word that ends in ing. This can be a verb, it can be something that we can do, but it can also be a noun and an adjective. So when we see an ing word, when we are reading, we cannot immediately think it is a verb. But there is a really good trick to figuring out if it is a verb or not. It is looking at the word right in front of it. This word right here will tell us if this is a verb or not. Because the only time that this word can be a verb is if right in front of it is one of these 6 or 7 words. Watch this. If we put here, now let me erase the bottom here. Okay. If we put here am, is, are, was, were, will be. I'm also going to add the word been, but I will not be talking about that today. So if we see one of these words right before the ing word, then yes, the ing word is a verb. It is part of a two-word verb or a two-part verb. All of these words here in this first green box, we say are the verb to be. The verb, I'm going to put those in quotes. The verb to be is the most common and most important verb in English. Why do we have so many different words to be the same verb? Well, it's because we change the word depending on who is doing it and when they're doing it. So first, let's look at when they're doing it. If they're doing it right now or all the time, it's a fact, then we use am, is, or are. If it's already finished and it's in the past, we use was or were. If it hasn't happened yet and it will happen later, then we use will be. Then let's also look at who is doing it. If it's only one person doing it, then we use is or was. If it's more than one person doing it, then we use are or were. Am is a very special word that only goes with I. And that's it. You is also a special word. And even if you is just one person, you will go with are and were. So we pick the word depending on who is doing it and when they are doing it. But all of these words, am, is, are, was, were, will be, and been, are part of the verb to be. And ing words are only a verb if they follow one of these words. So let me give you an example. Let's say Joseph is running. So, what is the verb in this sentence? Well, we can see our ing word, and so we're going to look at the word right in front of it. And this word is it on our list? Yes, it's right here. It's the verb to be. And so is running will be a two-word verb. Now, who is running? Who is the subject of this sentence? That's Joseph. So in this sentence, Joseph is running. That's the action he is doing. What if I were to write Joseph likes running? So we can see we have the ing word. If we look at the word right in front, it's the word likes. Likes is not the verb to be. So in this sentence, Joseph likes running. Running is not the verb. The verb in this sentence is likes. Who likes? What is the subject in this sentence? The subject will usually come right before the verb, and it is Joseph. So Joseph likes something. We might ask the question, what does Joseph like? Joseph likes what? Well, the answer to the question, what, is going to be a noun. It's going to be a person, place, thing, or idea. So in this sentence, we can say, Joseph likes what? What does Joseph like? The answer to the question, what, is running. He likes running. So what he likes is running. This answers the question, what does he like? I use orange. Let me explain for a minute how I use my colors, because some of you already know how I use my colors, but let me just explain. I use red to show the subject of the sentence. This will be a noun or a pronoun. So it's a person, place, thing, or idea. I use green to show my verb. Now, there are other nouns in the sentence that are not the subject. They are not the person, place, or thing that's doing something or being something. They're just answering the question, what? And so these nouns are called an object, and I use orange. They are also a noun or a pronoun. Not every object will come right after a verb, but some do. And they answer the question, what? Joseph likes what? He likes running. So in this sentence, running is a noun. It's kind of the idea of running, or the activity of running, the action of running. In this sentence, Joseph likes running. He is not running right now. It is not an action that he is doing right now. We are just saying this is something that Joseph likes, the activity of. So it's more the thought of, the idea of. Joseph likes running. Let's try one more sentence. What if I say running is fun? What is the verb in this sentence? Well, we do see the ing word, but you can see that there's no word in front of it. So this cannot be the verb. There's no verb to be right in front of it. The verb in this sentence is just is. This is the verb. Well, we need a subject. What is fun? So you can see again, I'm asking the question, what? What is fun? Well, running. So here, running is the subject of the sentence. That means it's a noun. When we're talking about an ing word as a noun, we call it we say that it's the gerund form of run. We add, so run is an action. When we add ing to it, it can still be an action if we have that verb to be in front of it. So here it is an action. It's something that the subject is doing right now. Joseph is running. But it can also be the activity of doing that. You can hear I said the in front of it. When we put a or the in front of something, we're turning it into a noun. It could just be the idea of it or the activity of it. Because in the sentence, Joseph likes running, he is not running right now. This sentence is telling us what he likes. Running is fun. There's no running happening right now. No one is running. We are just making a comment about the activity of running. So in this sentence, running, the idea of it, the activity of it, is fun. We're just saying something about that activity. Is the verb, and running is what we are talking about. It is the gerund form of run. Running is fun. Fun is an adjective describing what running is like. And I use yellow to be an adjective. And I run out of room. There we go. In this sentence, we can see that the only verb in the sentence is the word is. We often forget that this little word can be the only verb in a sentence. In fact, do you remember when I said that the verb to be is the most important verb in English? Well, the verb to be, am, is, are, was, were, will be, it can be the only verb in the sentence, or it can be in front of an ing word. And then the ing word is part of the verb. So then it is a two-part verb. But I want to show you just for a moment how the verb to be can be the only verb in the sentence. I'm going to show you this by first showing you a math problem. Okay, let's do math for a minute. If I put here 2 plus 3 plus 4, okay, over here I could put 5 plus 1 plus what? What would I need to put there? Okay, well, let's just think about this for a minute. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 4 is 9. 5 plus 1 is 6, plus, what do I need to make 9? I need to make 3. Why did I choose 3? Because over here, 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 9. And over here, I need this to also be 9. Because this is an equal sign, equals. And that means I need both sides to be the same. The verb to be is kind of like an equals sign, and it can be connecting the part before it and the part after it. So let's see what that would look like. So this would be equals. This will be my subject, which is a noun. And then over on this side in orange, this can be an object, which is a noun. So one example would be to say, Joe is a boy. And my equal sign would be is. Joe is a boy. And then I need a period. So on this side of the equal sign is a person. On this side is a person. This is a noun. This is a noun. And they're the same person. So they're the same on both sides. A dog is an animal. I could say Miss Camp is a teacher. I could say Mars is a planet. So I have a person, place, or thing here, a person, place, or thing here. This one is the subject, and this one is an object, but they're both nouns, and we are just putting an equal sign in between them. I could not say Joe is boys, because boys are more than one person and Joe is only one person. So now the two sides are not equal. If I put here the boys equal friends, that's true that I have more than one boy, so I have an S, and they're friends, so I have an S. So now the number here and the number here is equal, but is only goes with one person. So I have to change that to be are. So when I choose my equal sign of is or are, I need to look and see, am I talking about one or more than one? And then the number here and the number here need to be the same. So one way of using the verb to be is if I have a subject and an object, and they're the same. The other way of using it is if I have my subject, which is a noun, and then I'm going to describe it using an adjective. And the adjective will say what kind of person, place, or thing that is. So I could say, Joe is smart. But then when I choose is or are, I need to look and see, is Joe one person or more than one person? Joe is one person, so I'm going to say is. Joe is smart. So you can see these two different ways of using the verb to be all by itself. We just need to think of it as being two sides on each side of that equal sign. We have our subject, and then we're saying what it is as another noun or as an adjective that's describing what kind of person, place, or thing it is. But these two sides would be equal. So we choose our verb to be, am, is, are, was, were, will be, based on who this is. Is it one person or more than one person? And when is this happening? So now when we go back and look at our main idea, our first sentence, and we say, playing chess is one of my favorite things to do we think that playing, this ing word, is a verb? Well, if we look in front of it, there's no word there. This is the first word in the sentence, so no word comes before it. We do not see the verb to be in front of it. So this is not the verb. Here we are talking about the activity of playing chess, the thing of playing chess, the idea of it, the action of it. So here, playing chess is what our sentence is about. This is the subject of our sentence, which means it is a noun. It is the activity of, the idea of. We are not playing chess right now in this sentence. We are talking about it. Our verb is only this little word is. So that means we are going to have a part of the sentence before the word is and a part of the sentence after the word is. And then is in the middle, like a little equal sign. So playing chess is what? What is it? It is one of my favorite things to do. We can just put an orange circle around this whole thing. And so now I have red, green, orange. My sentence is about playing chess. What is playing chess? It is one of my favorite things to do. That's a long group of words, but I'm going to put the whole thing in an orange circle because it is answering the question, what is playing chess? Playing chess is what? It is one of my favorite things to do. I want you to notice here the two words to do. A lot of people will, just like with an ing word, when we see ing and we think verb, we will also see, oh, do. That is something we can do. It's a verb. But when you see the word to in front of it, to do, as soon as we put the word to in front of it, we are using these two words together for some other purpose in the sentence, not to be the main verb of the sentence. Playing chess is one of my favorite things to do. Well, now we need to think of three. You can see here we have 1, 2, 3. We need to think of 3 reasons. We want to give, when we are writing in English, we love the number 3. So we want to give 3 reasons why playing chess is one of my favorite things to do. I just used this word reason. Reason is the answer to a why question. So if someone asks you why, your answer, which often begins with because, your answer is a reason. It's the answer to a why question. It starts with because, ... So we will have 3 reasons, but now we need to stop and do some thinking. We haven't really thought yet about what 3 reasons do we have. When we are thinking about our 3 reasons, we need to do something called brainstorming. Have you heard this word before? Brainstorm. It's really a compound word made up of 2 words. We have brain and we have storm. So we know that our brain is that thing up here in our head that does our thinking. A storm we think of as like a typhoon or a thunder and lightning storm or a snowstorm. If we think of thunder and lightning, we can think of the lightning cracking through the sky and then the thunder going boom, boom, boom. But there's a lot going on. It's a very busy time in the sky at night. There's just so much going on. A brainstorm is when we let inside our brain, we let it have this swirling, windy kind of explosions of ideas. We just let all the ideas, just as the rain falls, the ideas just keep coming. So it's the opposite of being calm. We don't want to just be focused on one thing. We don't want to just be relaxed. We want to be letting our brain just get excited with lots of different ideas. It doesn't matter if they are good ideas or bad ideas. We just want to let our brain come up with lots and lots of different ideas. They do not have to be organized. They do not have to be smart. They can just be everything that comes to our mind. And then we write them down. And as we write them down, we are going to create something called a mind map. A mind map is when mind is another word for our brain. And so as we make a mind map, here's an example of one right here. We are going to start in the middle with that one topic. So our paragraph is about playing chess. So our topic is chess, the game of chess. Here is the game of chess. And so as we are thinking about playing this game, we need to think, why do I like playing chess? What comes to my mind from the topic chess? So here are some examples. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and here were some ideas that we had. The first idea was that this person loved how it made his brain do a lot of thinking. He thought it was really good for his brain. It helped his brain get stronger and just do more and more thinking. So he loved how good it was for his brain. We also talked about how it was exciting for him to have competition or to have a contest, to go to a chess tournament because he had to think very quickly. There was a timer, so every time it was his turn, he only had so much time to think about what he was going to do, what move he was going to make, and he had to get that done before the timer went off. So he had to think quickly. He also thought that it was fun and it was interesting, and he made friends. He also thought that it was a very popular activity and he was good at it. So when we first made this mind map together, everything on our paper was just black. There was no green, orange, purple, yellow. It was just black. So first we just did it in black. And then as we were looking at it, we started to organize and we started to think, we want to find 3 things. We're looking for 3 different categories. And so we need to start putting things together and thinking about, do we like everything? Do we want to cross anything out? Are there things that can go together? And so we thought, well, definitely we want to talk about how this was good for his brain. He liked that part. We decided not to use popular because we didn't like the idea of saying, I just like to do this because everyone else likes to do it. We wanted his reasons to be for himself and not because of what other people think or what other people like. So we crossed off this one. We also decided that being good at it, we might be able to add that somewhere into the paragraph, but not have that be a reason all by itself. With fun and interesting and making friends, we thought those can all kind of go together into the same, they're kind of the same idea or the same category. And so we put one circle around all of that. And then we had found our 3 things. So we had the orange, the green, and the yellow. And then we wanted to decide what order should we do these in? Which one should we talk about first, which one second, and which one third? There is not a right or wrong answer for that. This is not like writing a story where this has to happen first before this can happen next, before this can happen last. When we are writing our reasons for something, it doesn't really matter which reason we give first or second or third. But we can think about which one would we like to say first, which one would we like to say second, and which one would we like to say third. So we thought about that and we picked our 1, our 2, and our 3. Let me show you what it looked like when we were finished. Here was our finished story map. So you can see how much thinking went into this, a lot of thinking and a lot of planning. But actually, when we were done, writing the paragraph would be so easy. He would just have sentence number 1, and then he would go up here to write this square, and then this square, and then this one, and then this one. And he would do it in a paragraph format, and he would be finished. So the writing became more of copying. The graphic organizer is where we do our hard work. We do our thinking. We make our plan, and we organize our thinking. Let me show you how we did that. So we are going to come up here to our first reason right here. And we need to go back to our mind map, and we need to find our first reason, which is the brain thinking. This is our only note, okay? Our brain thinking. And then we need to connect that to playing chess. So those are our clues: playing chess, brain thinking. And we need to ask ourselves, how can we put that into a sentence? Well, there is no right or wrong answer to this, but we decided to say, it is good exercise. Boy, I'm already adding a really hard word. Let me explain that word in just a minute. It is good exercise for my brain. This word exercise is something we often use when we're talking about our body, is working hard to get stronger, like running or swimming or playing basketball, playing soccer, hopscotch, jumping rope. Things that we are doing to help our body get stronger. That is exercise. Well, when we are playing chess, we are actually helping our brain to get stronger because we are doing so much thinking. It's sort of a mental exercise for our brain to help it get stronger. This reason was talking about how much we'd like for our brain to do some hard thinking to get stronger, to be good for our brain. Exercise is good for our body, and thinking is good for our brain. So we called it good exercise for my brain. When we look at this sentence, what would our verb be? Do you see it? It is just that one little word, is. So this is another one of those equal signs, before the equals and after it. So what comes before the is? That will be our subject, and it's just this word, it. Do you remember I said a subject could be a noun or a pronoun? It, right here, is a pronoun, which takes the place of a noun. And we should never use a pronoun unless we have already told our reader who it is or what it is. So the question is, what is this? What is good exercise for my brain? What are we talking about in this sentence? Well, we need to go to the sentence we just finished writing, which was this one. Playing chess is ... So this sentence was about playing chess. And playing chess is what is good exercise for my brain. So this pronoun is actually talking about playing chess. Playing chess is what is good exercise for my brain. But we already said playing chess. We do not need to say that 2 times in a row. We do not need to say playing chess is one of my favorite things to do. Playing chess is good exercise for my brain. We said it one time. We know this is what we're talking about. So now we can use a pronoun to replace playing chess and just say it. When we are using a gerund form of the verb play, so that it can be a noun, so that it can be the activity of, or the idea of, or the thing of playing chess, we always use it with a singular verb. Singular meaning just one. So we would use is or was. We would use the verb that goes with one person or one thing. So here we are using the gerund form of play. We are using the ing word as a noun, as the subject of the sentence, not as the action in the sentence, but as what the sentence is about. So we are going to use the verb is. It, that's why we choose it and not they. They would be for more than one. It is the pronoun for just one. Playing chess is an activity that is just one activity. So it is the pronoun for just one, and is the verb that goes with just one. So it is, and then remember when we have our equal sign, our is, we have 2 sides of it, right? The red side, and then this is either going to be an object answering the question what, or it's going to be an adjective telling us what kind of person, place, or thing this is. So here we say, does this sentence answer the question what? It is what? Playing chess is what? Yes, we are saying that it is good exercise for my brain. So this sentence has a red, green, orange, a subject, and then is, the verb to be, and then answering the question, what? What is it? Good exercise for my brain. Okay, now we want to come over here to reason number 2. Let's go look at our mind map again. Reason number 2, we were talking about when we play the game of chess in competition. This one is about being in competition and needing to think quickly. So we want to come up with a sentence that has thinking quickly in competition and playing chess. We want to put those ideas together into one sentence. I am going to write in competition, my brain needs to think fast. I'm sneaking into the video after I just finished recording it. Did you notice that I just spelled the word competition wrong? I haven't noticed it yet. In fact, I am not even going to notice that until I get near the end of the video. But now you know. I haven't figured it out yet, but you know. Okay, when we look at this sentence, let's see if we can find the verb and the subject. This sentence is not starting with the subject. It's starting with this phrase, in competition. So we need to think about this. Let's see if we can find the verb. Think is something we can do. So you might think that think is the verb. But remember what I said, if we find that little word to right in front of it, if we find a verb that is something we can do and right in front of it is this word to, then it is not going to be the main verb of the sentence. It's going to be doing something else. So let's keep looking. Do you see this word right here that ends in an S? Needs. This is the verb of the sentence. Well, who or what needs something? What is the word that comes before it? And that is my brain. My brain is the subject of this sentence. My brain up here, it's a thing, it's a noun, and it needs something. Well, let's try that question, what? My brain needs what? Oh, my brain needs to think fast. So if I ask the question, what does my brain need? The answer would be to think fast. So in my orange circle, that's answering the question, what my brain needs. There are many verbs that need to have the answer to the question, what, right after it. I want to look a little bit more closely at this sentence. So I am going to cut this sentence out. And then we are going to copy it, add a new page, and paste it. So here it is. Now that I've done that, I'm going to cut out this first part. And I'm going to move it down here. And then we are going to cover this up for a minute. All right, so now let's look at it this way. And I also need to cover up this period, and let's cover up this comma. And we also need to make sure that the I becomes a little I. So a couple things we need to do here. And what else do we need to do? We need to make sure that this M becomes a capital M. All right, so now let's look at this sentence. My brain needs to think fast in competition. In competition is telling us when or where my brain needs to think fast. And I use pink to show the answer to the question when or where that is being answered by a phrase or a group of words. When we have a group of words that answers the question when or where, it is probably a prepositional phrase. And I use pink for that. A prepositional phrase is a group of words that begins with a preposition. In is a preposition. So a prepositional phrase is a group of words that begins with a preposition, and then after it will be a noun. We've talked before about how nouns in a sentence can be a subject or an object. This is another example of a noun being an object. The noun after a preposition will never be the subject of a sentence. But in this phrase, in this group of words, together, they work together to answer the question when or where something is happening. So when or where does my brain need to think fast? In competition. And I have to have my period at the end here of my sentence. But when we are talking or writing in English, we really want to help out the reader or the listener. One thing that will help out the reader or the listener is to have the most important information first. Well, if what we are saying only happens at a certain time, then that time is important. And so we might want to tell them when it is happening before we tell them what is happening, because then they know first thing right at the beginning that at this time, then they will be thinking at this time, okay, this is what happens. So in this sentence, my brain needs to think fast in competition. Those words in competition are important. And so we can take that prepositional phrase that comes at the end of the sentence and we can move it to the beginning of the sentence. It is possible in an English sentence to take something that comes at the end and move it to the beginning before the subject. So let's see how that would look. If we take the prepositional phrase in competition, which tells us when my brain needs to think fast, and move that up here to the beginning of the sentence, then we are now putting that before the subject. So again, we can take the phrase from the end of the sentence and move it to the beginning of the sentence. But if we do that and we are putting it before the subject, then we need to put a comma after it. We need to move our period here. We need to change the little I to a capital I. And we need to change this capital N into a little n. The importance of this comma right here is that it tells the reader that this phrase, everything that came before the comma, used to be down here at the end of the sentence, and we moved it to the beginning. And so after that comma is where our subject will begin. Because in English, we like our sentences to begin with the subject of the sentence, telling us who or what the sentence is about, followed by the verb. In this sentence, it is okay for us to take our prepositional phrase from the end and move it to the beginning. But the way that we tell the reader we did that is by putting this comma after this prepositional phrase. And it tells the reader that the subject is coming next. So the subject is still my brain. The verb is needs. My brain needs what? To think fast. And in competition, which we are using to introduce the sentence, is a prepositional phrase that could have been at the end, and it's telling the reader when this happens. One reason we put in competition first is because knowing when our brain needs this is helpful information, important information for the reader to know and understand before they start reading about what our brain needs. They say, oh, okay, it's during competition or in competition. The other reason is because it is a fancier sentence. It's a different type of sentence. And when we are writing, we like to mix up our sentences and not have all of them just be subject, verb, subject, verb, subject, verb. So we can move things around in our sentence and put them in different order as long as we know how to use the commas. So this was reason number 2. Next, we're going to be looking at reason number 3. So let's go back to our mind map. Here's reason number 3. It's fun, it's interesting, we make friends. We want to think about how can we use these words and playing chess in the same sentence. I'm going to say, when I am playing chess, I can make a new friend. When I am playing chess, I can make a new friend. Well, let's look at what is the verb in this sentence. Now, do you notice that here we have an ing word, but we look at the word that comes in front, and this is the word am. That is on our list of am, is, are, was, were, will be. This is the verb to be, which means this is going to be a verb. Am playing chess. This is something I am doing. So here, playing is part of the verb. Am playing, I'm going to include this. Am playing chess. That is this verb. Who is playing chess? I. So I is the subject. But did you notice that we also have can make? That is also a verb. And who can make? I have another subject. I can make what? I can make a new friend. Wow, we've got a subject verb, and then another subject verb. Do you remember what we call that when we have in one sentence a subject verb and then another subject verb? Well, it's either going to be a compound sentence or a complex sentence. We are going to look at this a little more closely. Let's start by looking at I can make a new friend. I can make a new friend. Okay, here I have a verb, can make, and I have a subject, I. I can make what? I can make a new friend. Okay, so this is a complete sentence or an independent clause. It has a subject and it has a verb. Now I'm going to write, I am playing chess. Here, what is the verb? Well, we see the ing word. We look at the word in front of it. Am, is, are, was, were, will, be. Yes, am. It's part of the verb to be. So the ing word is part of the verb. So the whole verb is am playing. Am playing. Who? I. I am playing. I am playing what? Chess. So, you know, we could say chess is, I could put an orange box around this, but I think I'm just going to say I am playing chess. I'm going to call that my verb. That is what I am doing. Okay. So this is also here a complete sentence. It has a subject and it has a verb. I am playing chess. So I have two sentences, but these go together because I want to say that I can make a new friend when I am playing chess. So I will say here, when I am playing chess. Now I can get rid of this period. I can combine these two sentences into one. It will be a complex sentence because it will have this part right here. Which is my main independent clause. That can be a sentence all by itself. Remember that I am playing chess by itself would be an independent clause. It would be a sentence. I am playing chess. But as soon as I put when in front of it, it's going to become a dependent clause, because when I am playing chess cannot be a sentence all by itself. This word when, I call it that purple glue. It's that type of conjunction. Remember, there are two types of conjunctions. The purple kind, that I call it purple, like the word when, will be used to make a dependent clause. And when we combine the independent and the dependent, these two sentences into one, we call it a complex sentence. So we have the independent clause, and now we have a dependent clause. If we put the independent clause first, we do not need a comma. Do you remember what we just learned about the sentence with the prepositional phrase in competition at the end, and how we could move in competition from the end to the beginning of the sentence if we put a comma after it? Well, it is the same thing here. We can take the end of this sentence, when I am playing chess, and move it to the beginning. But if we do that, then we will use a comma, because we want the subject of our main sentence, the subject of our independent clause, we want that to come first. And if it does, like here, we do not need a comma after it. But if we're going to move our dependent clause up here to the beginning, then we will put a comma after it. And just like with the prepositional phrase that answers the question when, here our dependent clause is answering the question when. When can I make a new friend? When I'm playing chess. And the answer to the question when, it's really helpful to the reader to know that information first. So I'm going to cut out my dependent clause. And I'm going to move that up here to the beginning. So we don't need to see this anymore. Okay. So if I move this to the beginning, okay, so we could have it at the end, and then no comma. If we move it to the beginning, then we're going to want to put a comma after it. And we will need to turn this into a capital W. Now I needs to stay capital because the pronoun I is always capital. If this was not the word I, we would want to make sure that we turn this into a lowercase letter. So here, when I am playing chess, comma, I can make a new friend. This is a complex sentence because we are using the word when. If we put our dependent clause first, you'll see it will start with the conjunction, then we put the comma after it. When I am playing chess, I can make a new friend. So here I have mentioned the word friend, but let me look back at my mind map. Here it is. And here I was talking about not just making friends, but fun and interesting. I have not used either of these words, but I could just add a simple sentence here, like, that is fun. That is fun is a red, green, yellow sentence. That is the subject, is the verb, and fun is an adjective telling us what that is. Well, that is actually a pronoun. So we need to know what that is. Well, what is fun? What is that? We have to look at the sentence before it. It's this whole idea of making a new friend when I'm playing chess. That whole thing, that's what that is. So making a new friend when I'm playing chess, that is fun. we have gone to our mind map and we have now used our reason number 1, reason number 2, and reason number 3. We haven't mentioned being good at it, but we can still look to see if there's a place where we can add that. In our conclusion, we are going to remind the reader of what our main idea is, but we are not going to give a new reason. So for the word I'm using is conclusion. Conclusion is when we bring it to an end. A very simple conclusion, especially for a paragraph where we are talking about our opinion, is just to say how you feel about it. I like playing chess. When we look at this sentence, we can see the ing word. Is that the verb in the sentence? Are we playing chess right now? Let's look at the word before it, like. This is not am, is, are, was, were, will, be. This is not the verb to be. So playing is not a verb in this sentence, which means we have to keep looking for the verb. This is the verb. And who is the subject going with that? I like. That is our subject and our verb. Do we need to ask the question, what? I like what? What do I like? Yes, this sentence answers that question. I like playing chess. My box needs to go on both lines. I like playing chess. So here, playing chess is answering the question, what? So we are using the playing, the ing word, as a gerund, right? Gerund is kind of a fancy word. It is when we are adding ing to the verb and turning it into a noun so that it can answer the question, what? And we're talking about the activity of playing chess, the idea of it. I like playing chess. And here I might just add, I am good at it. You don't have to add that, but we can. So let's look at our whole Foursquare. Is there anything we want to add or change? This is where we have finished putting down our ideas. We have finished organizing our ideas. We have a plan, but we could make changes if we want to. Making changes to make it better would be called revising it. That is this word, revising. If we revise what we are writing, we add to our ideas, take some away, change it. So we could do revising. If we have changed it, then our new changes would show our revisions. Okay, I think I might add one sentence here. This reason was about how we like to let our brain do a lot of thinking. So it's not just good for us, but we enjoy it. We enjoy the thinking that we do. So I might want to add that and say, I like thinking. And when I'm playing chess, what I really like thinking about is a very fancy word called strategy. If you like playing chess, then knowing the word strategy is a great word to know. Strategy is the type of thinking that your brain is doing when you are playing a game and you are trying to decide, what should I do next? Where's our picture of a chess? Here's our chess game. When you are looking at the chessboard and you are trying to think about, where should I go? Should I move this one here, or this one here, or this one here, or this one here? And if I do that, maybe he'll go here, or he'll go here, and I'm thinking about, what should I do? What's my plan? So the thinking that we do when we are playing a game is called strategy. If you are playing soccer or football or chess or Monopoly, when you have to make a decision about what should I do, what will help me win the game, that is your strategy. It's thinking about how, answering the question, how am I going to do this? In this sentence, I like thinking about strategy. I can see an ing word. Is this part of the verb? Well, remember our trick? We look at the word right before it. This is the word like. This is not the verb to be. So thinking in this sentence is not part of the verb. The verb in this sentence is like. And the subject that goes with like is I. I like. I like what? What do I like? Thinking. Thinking about strategy. So thinking or thinking about strategy would be the answer to the question, what do I like? So here thinking is the activity of thinking, the idea of thinking. It would be the object in that sentence. So here's our finished Foursquare. But before we turn it into a written paragraph, we need to talk about transitions. Transitions. Here's the word I'm using. Transition. Transition words are words that we use to help the reader know that we have finished talking about one thing or one reason, and now we are going to talk about the next thing or the next reason. When we are doing a story map to tell a story, our transition words would be words like first, next, after that, finally, in the beginning, in the end, because we need to show the reader that these things are happening in a specific order, and that this has to happen before this can happen, and this has to happen before this can happen. So the transition words we use when we are telling a story are different, and they are showing the reader that things are happening in a specific order. But when we are using the Foursquare, things might not need to happen in a certain order. Do you remember when we looked at our mind map and we were deciding what should we talk about first? What reason should we give first? There really wasn't a right or wrong answer. We could have talked about it being fun and interesting first, but we chose to talk about the thinking that our brain does and to do that first. And then we chose this one second and this one third. But it didn't have to be that specific order. So our transition words are going to be a little different. The one that I like to use for the very first reason is just to say, to begin with. And because this is introducing a sentence and it's coming before the subject, I will put a comma after it. To begin with, it is good exercise for my brain. I need to make sure I turn my capital I into a little I. For the next one, I might do something like in addition or also, but because I am already introducing my sentence with in competition, I'm not going to add another transition word to the beginning of this. I could, but I don't have to. Here, I am also introducing the idea of making a new friend by saying when, answering the question when, with when I am playing chess. That is a way of introducing the sentence. However, I am also going to put a transition word in front of it. And it's going to be a simple one, just also comma. And then I need to change my capital W into a little w. For the conclusion, one transition word or phrase that I like to use is as you can see. Comma. As you can see, I like playing chess. As you can see is just kind of a fun way of saying, okay, now that you look at everything I've said and all the reasons that I've given you, you can see that this is why I like playing chess. Okay, I've given you 3 reasons why. When you look at them all together, now it makes sense for me to say, I like playing chess because I have given you these 3 reasons. A fancier way of writing a conclusion would be to remind the reader that I'm talking about playing chess and then make a list of these 3 reasons. It would be something like, as you can see, I like playing chess because it is good for my brain, comma, it helps my brain to think fast, comma, and I can make a new friend, period. Or, as you can see, I like playing chess because it is good exercise for my brain, comma, my brain gets to think fast, comma, and it is fun, period. So I have given a review of or a list of those 3 reasons, and I've put it into one sentence. When you put a list into one sentence or a series of things, then you use commas. However, we are just doing a very simple paragraph today where we introduce our main idea, reason number 1, reason number 2, reason number 3, and then our conclusion, which might just say how we feel about it. Something that I noticed now that I'm all done is that I wrote the word competition wrong. Do you see that? Did anyone notice that? We have competitive, and then shun, competition. So here is our suffix shun. So here are the parts of the word, competition. So I missed that here, I have competition. So that's why it's very important after we do our planning in our first draft to go through and check for things we want to change to make better. That would be revising, but also to do something called editing. When we edit or do editing, we are looking for the spelling mistakes, where we need to add a comma, if our verb needs an S at the end of it, the things to make all of the writing be perfect. So revision looks at the ideas and editing looks at things like spelling and capitals and the verb and punctuation. Once our graphic organizer is all finished, our Foursquare is filled out, then we can put it into a written paragraph. And the way that we would do that is on our paper, we would find the margin, which is this line that goes down here, and this line needs to be straight. You want to have a space here. This space is called the indent. And then you would start writing right here. So here I am showing you how I have taken the information from our Foursquare and put it into a written paragraph. When we look at this paragraph, you can see that I have a beginning, middle, and end. The beginning in green is when I give my main idea. I just copied that from that square in the middle of my Foursquare. In the middle is the orange color. These are where I give my 3 reasons why I like to play chess. And in purple at the end, I have my conclusion. This is when I bring the whole paragraph to an end and I remind the reader what my main idea is. So here I have my beginning, my middle, and my end. When you are looking for the main idea of a paragraph, you often will find it in the very first sentence. If you don't find it there, you might find it in the very last sentence. In some paragraphs, though, you really have to just be a detective and look for clues and then infer what the main idea is. But for us as a writer, when we are writing a very simple paragraph, we will put the main idea in our first sentence and we will remind the reader of our main idea in the last sentence or the conclusion. And then in the middle, we will have our details, our reasons. Remember, with a detail, the whole paragraph is not going to be about that. So when you are reading a paragraph and you are trying to figure out main idea or detail, ask yourself, is this what the whole paragraph is about? For example, our first reason or detail was the good exercise for the brain, the thinking that our brain gets to do. But is our whole paragraph about that? No. We also talked about making a new friend. So the good exercise for the brain, the thinking piece, that is a detail, a reason. When we talk about our brain needing to think fast, is our whole paragraph about our brain thinking fast? No. So that is a detail, not the main idea. How about making a new friend? Is our whole paragraph about making a new friend? No. So that is not the main idea, that is a detail. So in our first sentence, we don't give away any of the details. We just want a sentence that introduces the main idea of the paragraph, which is playing chess is one of my favorite things to do. And then we have reason number 1, and you can see our transition here. You can see our transition to begin with helps the reader know that we are now giving the first reason. I think as I look at my paragraph, I probably would make a revision and go ahead and add a transition word to my, in front of my second reason. So here, I think I would say also, comma, also in competition, my brain needs to think fast. And I might add another sentence here about how fast. You know, how many seconds do I have, or how many minutes do I have to make my play, you know, when it's my turn, before it's the other person's turn. Now here I notice also, if I'm going to use also here, I'm not going to use also here. I'm not going to use the same transition word twice. So I would do a little revision, and I would say, instead of saying also, maybe I would use in addition. In addition is another transition word that means also. In addition, when I am playing chess, I can make a new friend. So these transition words would really help the reader to know that I'm giving my 3 reasons. To begin with, I'm introducing my first reason. Also lets them know I'm moving on to my next reason. In addition, helps them know that I am moving on to my third reason. And as you can see, lets them know that I'm coming to my conclusion. So the transition words are really helpful for the organization piece and for helping the reader to know that you're moving from the beginning to the first reason, to the next reason, to the third reason, and then to my conclusion. So then when I'm done, I would read it to myself or read it to a friend and think about, does this make sense? Do I want to make any changes to the ideas? Do I want to change any words? Do I have good transitions? And then I would check for my spelling and punctuation and capital letters, commas, the S at the end of verbs, and things like that. So let's read it one last time. Playing chess is one of my favorite things to do. To begin with, it is good exercise for my brain. I like thinking about strategy. Also, in competition, my brain needs to think fast. In addition, when I am playing chess, I can make a new friend. That is fun. As you can see, I like playing chess. I am good at it too. Because that last sentence was kind of a fun thing to add, just for fun, just to bring it to an end, I added an exclamation mark at the end of it to kind of show that it's fun. One thing I noticed is that because I added the word also, my letter I needs to be changed to a little I. And so let me check. In addition, and that's a little W, so I wanted to check that. We should only have a capital letter in the middle of our sentence if it is the name of something. Okay, so here's what our final paragraph looked like. To get there, we filled out a graphic organizer called a Foursquare that helped us organize our ideas. The way that we came up with our ideas was to do some brainstorming and to create a mind map. So I will leave it here. Just as a reminder to you before we close, this is the Foursquare that I used today, and I switched my orange and purple. Usually I have purple in the middle and orange at the end, but we ended up with our final Foursquare today looking like this. We had green at the beginning, orange in the middle, purple at the end, so that our final paragraph looked like this, with green in the beginning, orange in the middle, and purple at the end. Normally, I would have had green at the beginning, purple in the middle, and orange at the end, so that our completed Foursquare would look like this. And then our final paragraph would have looked like this, with green at the beginning, purple in the middle, and orange at the end. And that would be consistent with how I do it on the story map, where I have the problem in the beginning is green, the events in the middle are purple, and the solution at the end is orange. But that's okay. The color doesn't really matter. It's just the thinking that we do, the way that we organize our thinking and make a plan. And so here we have our final paragraph. Great job today. Okay, that brings us to the end. Thanks for listening. Bye.